Hello, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll be showing you how you can send and receive messages in multiple partitions in an Azure Event Hub. So let me share my screen. In the last video, if you can recall, we worked with Event Hub, but we used just a single partition. So if I should navigate to, I should navigate to my Event Hub namespace, which is coming up now. Yeah, so we have my Event Hub. Um, so this is the new partition that I created, but let me go back to Event Hub and I will open, this is the namespace. I'm clicking on it now. And I'll scroll down over to Event Hubs. And you can see we have two. This second one, I just created it and I'll be using it for this video. But the first one we have here was what we used in the last video. If we should open this, you see that we have just a single partition. We work with a single partition. So if I should take a look at this partition count, we have one. So we have just one partition. And I could remember the analogy I used in explaining partition. I was saying that it's like you are load balancing, it's like you are replicating, it's like you are duplicating the information into multiple containers. So um in this second event hub, I created the second one with two partitions. So you can see partition count written there, and the number is two. So we have two partitions here. Okay. So after creating this, all I did was I went over to the shared access policy and I created a policy for send as well as another one for receive. So what we're going to do is that, okay, so if I should go to my Visual Studio, so I think we should start with sending before we work with receiving so that we'll just see the difference between both. So let me share my Visual Studio. Okay, so I believe you can see my Visual Studio now. Let me open the application for sending to multiple partition and I'll just highlight what makes it different from the other one that we used that didn't have multiple partitioning. So let me go to my repository. Yeah, so multiple partition. Okay, so um I think I chose to open a folder instead of a project. Okay, so it's working now. Okay, so yeah, so this is what we have, multiple partitioning. So it's still the same application that we had previously. The only difference is that the connection string, I replaced it. So the application we have for a single partition, the connection string is different. And I just added a loop here to make the numbers increase so that it will run multiple times. Let me just confirm from my Data Explorer if I have any message in that event hub. Let me just confirm that. I think I set the retention time to be 1 hour. Yeah, it's empty, which is great. So we have this now. So I'll be running this. I'll be running this. I want to send these messages to the event hub. I'll be running it. So as I said earlier on, the previous application that we built that we were sending messages to an event hub, the only difference is that it's still the same code, but I've made this one to run multiple times. That's just the difference. So let me run this. Okay, and now I can see from the output that the event it has been sent, which is great. So if I should go over to my if I could go to my Azure to my portal and I try to view events. Previously, while you were viewing the Visual Studio, I viewed this and it was empty, no data to display. But now, since we've sent a couple of messages over here in multiple partitions, using two partitions rather, then we are going to see that. So I'm clicking to view the event now from the Data Explorer. And you can see we can view the events. And you can see partition ID starts with 0 and it increments to 1. And you can see we have 1. Okay, so this is what multiple partitioning does for you. And you can see that some of the data are quite similar. They are quite similar because the partitioning, so you can see from the first partition, the first item, order ID is 1, quantity 10, blah, blah, blah. So if I should go scroll down to the next partition, you can see the same thing, order ID 0, quantity 10, blah, 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 as you can see here. Okay. But now, instead of viewing the event from our Azure portal, I want to view it from Visual Studio. So that leads us to our second application. Okay, so from our second application, I'm opening projects and I'm going over to receive. Okay, now the only difference here is that so I think the only difference here was the replacement of the connection string. So basically, these are follow-up is going through everything. So it's going through the first partition, the second partition, is looping through and it's returning the data that it finds. So the only thing that I replaced from our last event hub receive console application was the connection string. So the same application that we used in the past is still going to work. So let me run this and I will stop sharing and share my output screen. Okay. Okay, so I'm sharing my output screen now, and you can see that we have order ID, quantity, and we also have partition ID displayed, and as well as the data offsets, which increases as we scroll down. So the data offset increases even if the data is the same, because that has to do with the size, with the bytes, as it were. But you can see that when we scroll down, we can see our partitioning. You can see our partitioning. Yeah, so the data offset for the last partition over here, you can see is 2704. And For the last for partition 0 is 3560. So a little correction, the data offset is partitioned based, is partitioning based, is partition based rather. So that's basically it. So we can see how we can send messages to Event Hub when we have multiple partition in place, and we can also see how we can receive messages when we have multiple partitions as well. Find this video helpful. Don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day, everyone.